everyone. How's everyone doing today? I thought I'd bring you a little bit of an intel and world update because I haven't done that for a while, and I know how you like a good world update. So I'm just going to touch on a few topics today. It's really going to be a conversation, and we're just going to see what comes through. Wow, we're in the middle of massive disclosure around the world. Can you see it? Can you feel it? I hope you can. I know a lot of people are despondent in this movement. They've seemingly waited for too long and don't see enough happening. But hopefully, some of what I'll go into today will help alleviate some of their frustration and anxiety. So, the first thing that obviously come to mind is the Hanta Santa virus. So unbelievable that they're actually trying to pull this for real, guys. I mean, this is just quite unbelievable. This movie is getting quite comical now. And that is the whole point. You can see the public at large waking up en masse. And it's one thing that I've noticed, like a big perspective shift, obviously, from 2020. You can actually visibly notice how many more people have woken up to the BS and are saying, are you kidding me? Or we're not doing this again. And this is all BS. And the memes are flooding the internet waves. So that in itself should be encouraging. A lot of people are getting, all sort of panicky and fearful that, they're going to try and lock us down again. It's definitely not going to work this time, guys. I mean, they've tried so many things over the past few years since the scamdemic, and we're thinking monkeypox, and I think there were a few others. None of it really got traction, and it's getting more and more ridiculous by the point. I mean, this supposed virus or whatever it is not transferable between humans. So that should tell you everything. Plus, the antidote, let's call it this thing that goes into the arm, was registered for a patent in 2020, or the application was in 2021, and I think a patent was issued in 2022, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just see here what I've got. Yeah, the inventors sounded decidedly Ukrainian, actually, interestingly. A company in the US, though, that applied for the patent. Oh, it looks actually like it was never granted. But there was a US provisional 63-244-101 filed in 2021, like I said, on September 16. And the assignee was the University of Texas system. So all of these things are coming out. People are just not falling for it anymore, and that's a good thing. So just, realize that this movie playing out around us is not necessarily designed for the awakened ones. That's why you shouldn't really get too involved, because it's actually just like a big energy drain and a waste of time and a big distraction from the real work that needs to be done. And that is a continued mastery of the human experience, which we volunteered to come and do, losing all of our memories, all of our past life, achievements, memories, and skills and know-how, to come and do this from the inside out as volunteers on this planet at this time, at this very monumental and biblical time in human history. Probably the most important moment in human history. So we came here to do this, knowing full well what it would entail. Now, I think it was a little bit more intense than many of us realized when we signed up for this. But you know what? It is still totally doable. So, it's not like it is a task that is beyond our capabilities. Let's put it that way. And everything that is challenging us right now are also for our highest good. If you can accept that and just as quickly as you can, get the learning from it so you can move on from that particular lesson. Because as soon as your human consciousness have learned the lesson, you can move on to the next grade, to the next test, and literally swim through this human mastery project and Earth School and Earth game, really, that we're playing at the moment, to be able to master the human experience from the inside out. We didn't realize how difficult it was to actually be a human during this time, did we? We just found out in this lifetime how difficult it is because even many of us got brainwashed and indoctrinated and had to wake up from that. And so we realized it's not so easy. Even if you didn't have all your memories, we thought we would wake up much more easily or be a little bit more immune to the brainwashing. Well, many of us were not, and had to really, under very difficult circumstances, detangle us from the indoctrination and from the situations we found ourselves in, whether it was, the home we grew up in, whether it was a relationship we found ourselves in, whether it was a complete life that we built for ourselves that were based on lies. We all had to wake up to that truth and start actively disentangle, detangle ourselves from this false matrix system. And that is the difficult part, because many people just want to be saved. They want just everything to be flipped and changed, and they want everything to be just fixed for them. And that, unfortunately, is going to perpetuate victim consciousness in the human psyche. Now, you as an old soul say, hey, I've done this all before. It's not fair that I have to be trapped in this kind of situation. But your soul wanted to learn this, and your soul wanted to be part of this, and your soul volunteered to be part of this. So you have to get your human consciousness to wake up enough and to be self-aware enough that it can connect with the soul fractal that it houses, in order for more of your soul to be downloaded and anchored into the human body, so that we can transcend the limitations of the human experience during this time. Because our destiny is our divine blueprint, which we are anchoring back into this human system and human consciousness, allows us to be so much more, allow the human being to be so much more than they are, because the human being and the human body has the potential to transcend all of its limitations and restore its divine blueprint and restore its 12 strands of DNA and its, all of the capabilities and the superpowers that really is its destiny, because it's in its DNA, right? Again, I was just thinking, about 23 DNA star races that donated their DNA, really, and which is part of human DNA that it's made up from. And you think of companies like 23andMe. I mean, where did they get that name from? They knew from the start. So I'm busy kind of thinking about what that project was really about. We know it was about collecting data and targeting certain gene pools, but I'm trying to understand it a little bit better, even. What was the whole project about? And recently, you may have seen, I mean, people share this stuff all the time, but this guy used his pet lizard, and he actually used saliva from his pet lizard and sent it into 23andMe. And what came back was astonishing. 20% of this, a little bit of Ashkenazi Jew, and then this, and all these different races, supposedly, not knowing that it's actually lizard DNA. So the whole question of DNA is quite fascinating to me, and I look forward to see how that actually unfolds. Somebody even sent juice, I think, from a peach or something in, and that also came back. So that's a subject that I'm fascinated with at the moment, as well as quantum physics. So we'll dive a little bit more into that. But I promised to bring you some world intel. So I will first get into that before getting into any of the other quantum and esoteric subjects. Now, I was very interested in the following little piece of intel and decode that came in about what the White House shared about the Washington Monument over this lake or pond or whatever it is, and how it decidedly looked like Excalibur's sword and the way it was set up with a little piece at the bottom. So it didn't just look like the phallic symbol that is the sorry, I was interrupted again. I was speaking about the Washington Monument, and I love this decode, which was quite interesting, talking about Excalibur and the Lady of the Lake rising. Excalibur reflected in America's purified waters from the still blue mirror of the newly renovated Lincoln Memorial. Sorry, Lincoln Memorial, not Washington Monument. Reflecting pool, the Washington Monument. Sorry, they're one and the same thing. I'm not in the US, so forgive me. That ancient obelisk of solar light now rises as Excalibur itself, emerging straight from the depths. The pool, once clouded with accumulated filth, has undergone its alchemical solve, it coagula, scrubbed clean and coated in luminous American flag blue, transforming it into the modern molten sea, the sacred vessel of the subconscious and collective prima materia. Its perfectly still surface has become the lady's hand, the feminine underworld made visible. Just as the Lady of the Lake bestowed Excalibur upon Arthur, the purified waters now offer the sword to the worthy. The obelisk's sharp reflection, piercing upward from that blue lake, is no accident. It's the external enactment of the inner mystery. The sword is our spine, the central axis of light drawn from the stone of the body and activated by the rising feminine current. Twin serpents of polarity engraved upon it, flashing fire when drawn. This is the gift. The chief dragon, the Pendragon, the son of light, receives what has been prepared. Mar-a-Lago, which means sea to lake, anchors the second lake, the new Camelot, where the work is stabilized. The entire axis, Lincoln's head, the cleared pool, the raised obelisk, stands as a living temple diagram of ascension. The lady is giving him the sword. The waters have been made ready. The reflection reveals the truth. Sovereignty returns through the purified spine of the realm. The sigil is alive. The golden age current flows. And if you also remember what's recently been revealed about Trump's ancestry, with the visit of King Charles, that sparked renewed interest in that. Trump is actually related to King Charles. They have a great grandfather in common. The third Earl of Lennox, who was a great grandson of King James II of Scotland, makes Trump, whose mother was Scottish, a 15th cousin of King Charles, according to the Daily Mail. So all of these interesting things are coming to light now, and it's beautiful to see. And then somebody else was posting also, Excalibur was a gift from the feminine underworld, bestowed by the Lady of the Lake, which Arthur earned by pulling the sword from the stone, his own stone. Very, very interesting. That's all I can say. So all of these interesting disclosure. And then we had Jean Ho posting something about, oh, we just went to the post office to buy stamps. Who still goes to the post office to buy stamps? Anyway, the stamps they gave him was Bruce Lee stamps. He's giving us all the comms, guys. Is he Bruce Lee? I don't know, but the comms are there. Trump also just retweeted something on X, I think. Yeah, X, from JFK Jr. Now we know there's a lot of fake accounts out there, but why would he repost from a fake account? And is that a com as well to say that exclosure, that's a new word, sorry, disclosure and exposure of people that we long thought deceased may be coming into the limelight. There's been a lot of comms about Michael Jackson as well lately. And a lot of people do believe that all of these characters are still alive. And is this maybe a time where some of these will be revealed? We know that a lot of actors and doubles are currently on the world stage playing different parts, and even deceased actors and actresses are actually playing some of these characters, like Robin Williams. playing Melee of Argentina, etc., many, many others. J.D. Vance, played by, I forgot the name of the guy now. So, yeah, you know, the digital soldiers are snuffing it out and decoding all of these comms being dropped. And in the meantime, there's a lot of disclosure and exposure around Obama and the Clintons. It's building, it's building. I think there was a deadline just yesterday for the Clinton Foundation to file for the Clinton Foundation files. And Chuck Grassley sent the DOJ and the FBI a request for all documents on, wait for it, 17 major issues, including Haiti and Uranium One. They are non-governmental emails, mishandling of classified documents, potential campaign violations, dubious Clinton Foundation financial dealings, Tenneco, a private firm funded by Bill Clinton speaking fees while Hillary was Secretary of State, Uranium One, of course, National Secretary implication of Uranium One acquisition, conflicts of interest between Hillary, Secretary of State, and the transacting parties. Chairman of Uranium One made donations to the Clinton Foundation in the millions while Hillary was Secretary of State. Comey floods. Clinton Foundation hid foreign donation of 2 million shares in Polo Resources. Paid to play with Colombian president, paid to play with Boeing, paid to play with Haiti, rare gold exception permit to Hillary's brother. After billions of US taxpayer dollars went to Haiti following the Haiti earthquake. And we know there's a whole lot of other stuff involved in that as well, like trafficking. And then the Wiener laptop and Clinton Foundation servers and other schemes. These are just the 17. Love that number, right? Listed. What is going on with my hair? It is so cold in Cape Town. We've had storms with all these geomagnetic activities. I think it's just been flooding South Africa and Cape Town. We've had so many floods and gale force winds over the past week or two in different areas. Lots of different places been flooding. So we've had the worst of it now. I think it's more or less passing now, but not typical weather for this time of year at all. And it is cold, very, very cold. Anyway, yeah, so the Clinton stuff is coming out, the Obama stuff is coming out. Trump has been seen retweeting many things around Obama. So, you know, could that be the first arrest? Could that be the one that really starts the avalanche to come down the mountain? It could well be. And then, of course, to make matters even more interesting, Dan Scavino just yesterday posted a drum roll. And it ends at 55 seconds. And of course, a lot of people looked at the Q drop 55, which was my fellow Americans. New financial system incoming, Clarity Act vote, Jerome Powell out this week, basically taken over by a new head of, you know, the Federal Reserve. The Clarity Act, I believe, is also being voted on in the next days. So everything is sort of aligning towards something. Marco Rubio also just returned from the Vatican. So will the Pope perhaps have a bad May, as said in some of the Q drops. The Clinton Foundation file deadline, as we know. So the countdown is on. And guys, it's a blue moon month. It's a rare month that we have 2 full moons in 1 month. It only happens every 2.5 years or so. So it is very rare. And the second full moon really is about full illumination, the veil dropping. So we are going to see mass disclosure, but I do want you to keep in mind that everything has to happen in a layered capacity. You may think they should just rip the band-aid and show everything what's been going on. But it took you years to work through all the uncomfortable and shocking truths that we have been exposed to. So, how do you expect the normies, which are not nearly as open minded as you are, to receive this in one dose? It just doesn't work. It will lead to total chaos globally, believe me. It would lead to possibly even the fall of this civilization. That's why it's got to be done so very carefully, especially now with alien disclosure as well. It has to be happening very, very carefully and sensitively so as to not lead to a breakdown in consciousness, which it really can lead to a complete breakdown in the stability that is holding this planet together. And we can't let that happen. So you have to trust in the divine timing. It took thousands of years for humans to become this brainwashed, and you expect it to be undone in basically less than 10 years. It doesn't work like that, guys. I mean, 10 years, this whole process has been sped up so much. How much more can you expect it to be sped up? So be patient, it's happening. And I might add, all of this, believe it or not, is for all our highest good, because we have to evolve within this human vessel so that we can help evolve the human species as a whole, so that um, inner standing that is rising within the human avatar can permeate the quantum field, so we can have that 100 monkey effect. So you have volunteered to be a leader of the new earth, a early awakener that was going to open the path for the rest of the humanity. And this is part of the process. Honestly, 10 years is not a lot. And no, you don't have to wait for somebody else to come and change it all for you. You can actually change your circumstances right now through simple quantum physics. And I say simple because it's not a simple subject, but actually it is also so simple because everything boils down to, to the atomic level. It's all just, you have the entire universe within one cell, and you have a whole universe inside of you. So as complex as that sounds, it's also very simple, because one shift in frequency, one deliberate, focused, and consistent shift in frequency can shift the entire trajectory of your life and your physical body and your circumstances and everything around you, because we do create our own reality, believe it or not. And that's why I've become so fascinated by quantum physics lately, because it really is not all that woo woo. It's all basically boiling back down to quantum physics. And once you master that in your mind and in your heart, it becomes easy to win this game, this earth game, and to master the game, and to help that evolutionary thought process permeate the field so that the rest of humanity can benefit from that inner standing as well, if that makes any sense. So you can see also with the alien and UFO disclosure, there's a lot of different streams in going in many different directions. So different target groups, different levels of awakening is addressed and reached in different ways. You've heard obviously the disclosure. I mean, why would that even be said to us, that the pastors were called into a secret meeting and told to prepare their people for what is coming, because it's going to rock people's world, and the pastors needed to prepare their people. So that is sort of for the religious sect to start preparing them. So you've got this multi-layered campaign going, guys, in so many different directions and so many different disclosures and truth speakers at different levels. It's not all just at the government level. Some of it is happening peer to peer, just whistleblowers and people in the spiritual community talking about this stuff. So there's many different layers to this campaign. It's not all happening purely from a government announcement point of view, because we don't really need the government to tell us what's really going on, right? We can figure that out in other ways. It's not always that we have to wait for the government. In fact, we shouldn't have to wait at all for the government. And then there was a post shared which was quite interesting. It was sort of more on the religious side again, because everyone was like, huh? When J.D. Vance was saying that he thought aliens were demons. And we was like, well, that's not helping disclosure. How's that helping disclosure? So this post by Maximum Pain, I'm going to read to you, which is really interesting. It said, what if the real deception was teaching people to fear life beyond Earth? Aliens are not demons. The aliens are demons narrative is one of the most backward takes out there. So let me get this straight. God is the source, the infinite intelligent behind creation, creates a vast universe filled with billions of stars, countless planets, and endless expressions of life and possibility. Yet somehow anything beyond Earth is automatically evil, demonic, or unnatural. That makes absolutely no sense. That is not discernment. That is not wisdom. That is not high understanding. That is fear. That is religious programming. That is limited mindset trying to force an infinite creation into a tiny human box. Just because something exists outside of your belief system does not make it demonic. Just because something challenges your worldview does not make it evil. And just because humanity does not fully understand something, yet does not mean it should instantly be labeled as dark. That is one of the biggest problems with this way of thinking. People have been conditioned to fear anything that expands the understanding of reality. So instead of asking deeper questions, instead of exploring creation with humility, instead of realizing that life may exist in many forms across the cosmos, they jump straight to its demons, its deception, its evil. No, that is a fear response. You understand the deep ingrained fear that have been put into a lot of religious people and why this has to be handled delicately. The truth is, there are many extraterrestrial beings and civilizations that are positive, benevolent, and highly conscious. Many of them have a much deeper understanding of life, creation, spirit, God, goddess, and the source than most humans currently do. Many are far more evolved in consciousness, harmony, intelligence, and spiritual development than humanity at this stage. That does not mean every being in the universe is automatically good. Just like on Earth, there is a small fraction of darkness. There are beings that have fallen into distortion, separation, manipulation, and lower consciousness. But that small fraction does not define the vast majority of life in the universe, not even close. Saying aliens or demons is like seeing the darkness that exists in a few humans and then deciding all of humanity is evil. It is ignorant, lazy, and spiritually immature. The universe is far more diverse than that. Creation is far more vast than that. Life is far more multidimensional than that. And the deeper truth is this: a lot of people are not actually using discernment when they say these things. They are reacting from fear because the existence of advanced conscious life beyond Earth challenges everything they were taught to believe. It challenges their religion. It challenges their identity. That's a very important one. It will challenge their identity to hear these things. And that has to be handled delicately. It challenges the idea that humanity is the center of everything. It challenges the small story they were given about creation. So rather than expand, they demonize and they actually contract. Rather than question, they condemn. Rather than seek truth, they retreat into fear. But fear is not discernment, and a limited belief system is not the same as truth. The existence of life beyond Earth does not threaten God. It does not threaten the source. It does not threaten creation. If anything, it reveals just how much greater, deeper, and more magnificent creation really is. The real issue is not extraterrestrial life. The real issue is that many people have been conditioned by fear-based religion and narrow interpretations of reality that they cannot imagine a universe full of life without labeling it evil. That says more about the conditioning than it says about the beings themselves. The universe is not filled with demons. The universe is filled with life. And a great deal of that life is far more aligned with love, wisdom, high consciousness, and the source than many people on earth are even ready to comprehend. That is so well said, isn't it? I shared that on the Telegram channel. If any of you maybe want to share that. If you're not yet on the Vivid Earth Telegram channel, make sure you are, because that's where we keep in touch on a daily basis, where I share daily news and inspiration. Um, so yeah, there was something else I wanted to talk to you about. Let's get that out quickly. I wanted to get back to the dismantling of the crown. The British royal family is being dismantled in real time, and this week the walls finally closed in from every direction. You may know and remember that basically the British royal family was also taken over by the Rothschilds and by the reptilians, ultimately infiltrated, shall I say, completely infiltrated, crossbred, um, and taken over and usurped and used as a control mechanism for the entire world, together obviously with the Vatican and the and Washington D.C., which is the three-state control system they put in place to rule over Earth. So the latest news was just there was a in the UK, Andrew, no longer Prince Andrew, but he likes to be called apparently Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, because the Mountbatten, that Philip Mountbatten was not a nice man at all, was he? Yeah. So again, attention being drawn to that. But a masked man pulled a weapon on Andrew on his estate. Now, even if you don't have the protection of the British Crown, you will have private protection, right? But it's again just to draw attention, because he's not a prince anymore. He lost the title, he lost the protection. Now, the man was arrested, but when was the last time a royal was physically confronted on their own grounds? So the protection is gone, and the people know what he is, and it's all part of disclosure. And then on the same day, the publication called Page 6 published what the British press sat on for months, which is that Sarah Ferguson, Andrew's ex-wife, had a friends with benefits relationship with none other than Sean Combs. Yeah, did he? The man facing federal trafficking charges, the man whose parties were filmed. Fergie didn't just attend, she actually brought her daughter, Princess Eugenie, when she was only 16 years old. So for me, that's narrative building also towards huge disclosure in that regard. Now, to be clear, what actually happened here is a royal member of the royal family brought a child to a party hosted by a man charged with running an sex trafficking network. That is in a public book with sources named, and it's on record. So you can see how this whole narrative was building. The first move was Andrew and Epstein Island. The flight logs, Virginia Giffey under oath, stripped of titles, now physically hunted on his own property. Move two, Fergie and Diddy's yacht, Diddy's network. Her own daughter used as currency in a world where access to young royals is the ultimate commodity. The trafficking didn't just happen in Hollywood, it ran through Buckingham Palace. Move number three, internal MI6 correspondence. Reference in a sealed filing from March 2026 flagged Operation Kingfall. A joint US-UK intelligence review of royal family financial transactions between 2001 and 2019. Wire transfer to offshore accounts in Jersey, Liechtenstein, Cayman Islands, cross-referenced against Epstein's financial network. The overlap wasn't partial, it was direct. The crown jewels aren't diamonds, they are secrets, and the vault just cracked open. And by the way, the crown jewels belong to Africa. That's another one. All that wealth has been stolen from the people of Africa. And all of this stuff is coming out, guys. So it's time for the royals to go down. Um, so all I can say is a lot happening in the field right now. Many can feel it, and many feels this period to be different because it is. This is not the usual disclosure. And we can start feeling all timelines, identities, and way of living are breaking down much faster than they used to. We can feel the timeline splitting, can't we? You may also be feeling it in your physical body, not only in your environment, through fatigue, disrupted sleep, waves of emotion, or in your life as relationships shift, your priorities change, and what felt very solid in the past perhaps no longer feels so solid. That is the sign that not only the world is changing, but you are changing as well. This is a powerful window that we're entering into, especially between May and August. Um, so the choices that we are making during this time will carry more weight. They will manifest faster. Small decisions can lead to major changes. A simple conversation, a moment of honesty, or the courage to let go of something that no longer aligns can alter the direction of your life. So don't underestimate acting where you need to act, when you can no longer procrastinate on, and decisions that you need to make, and how you react in every moment. And that's also why discernment is so important, and why your focus is so important, because wherever you place your focus, it's like a funnel. You go in that direction and you go into a whole different timeline. So we're constantly veering off the path and going in different timeline directions. The question is just, did you choose that timeline? Or did you just accidentally give your attention to it and now you're down that track? That is really the key question that you have to decide. What is it that you're going to give your attention on? Are you going to be doom scrolling and going into a low timeline? Or are you going to actively decide and be very disciplined with what you entertain in your field, what you put your focus on, what you feed your attention to? Because that's the timeline that you're going to be growing. And so you have to start course correcting every day, in every moment, and catch yourself when you go into a downward spiral very quickly. So self-awareness, self-discipline is key. And as more truth comes to the surface, anything that's built on illusion becomes very hard to sustain. So if that's you, you feel like your world is crumbling. What are the things that are built on illusion in your life? Old roles, old relationships, old belief systems that are no longer aligned may feel unstable and may start falling away. And while that can be quite painful and uncomfortable, it's also an invitation to return to what is real, your authentic self and your highest timeline. You're not escaping the old world, but it's becoming more fully present within it, becoming more authentic and aligned. So the more grounded you are, the easier it becomes to navigate change with clarity and peace. That's why spending time in nature is so important, because that's how you can truly reconnect with yourself. That's why resting is so important, so your body can recalibrate, your nervous system can recalibrate, you can come back to coherence so that you are in full control of what's happening within your field. And we are here to shape our own timeline through the choices we make every single day. So don't underestimate that. Yeah, I think that's all that I'm going to be sharing today. But just to say, we're living in profound times, and just make sure that you are very disciplined with your attention, that you don't give your power away, that you don't fall back into victimhood, that you don't fall back into powerlessness, that you take control of your own life, your own decisions, your own trajectory, that you make hay while the sun shines, because you can actually right now be in abundance, be in bliss. That's a conscious choice that you're cultivating in every moment of every day. So I'm telling you now, it's something that you can achieve. So the question is, how do you master that? How do you achieve it? And how do you master that ability? That is the quest that you need to reflect on through meditation, through stillness, through self-discipline. So I'm going to leave you with that today to ponder over, because it's available to each and every one of us. It's not, no one is closed off from being able to master that. So reflect on that, meditate on that, dream about that, ask for guidance, for help from your higher self. And let's do this thing. Let's anchor heaven on earth today, not tomorrow, not next week, not in 2030, but today. Okay? Because we can do it right now. So if you found this information interesting, then please do me a favor and like and share. And also make sure that you subscribe so you'll get notifications of the next video coming up. And also leave me a comment. I don't always get to reply, but I read all of them and I appreciate all of them. And so, yeah, I'm sending you all so much love. All my links are below. Make sure you on my mailing list, on my website, that you subscribe to my links. I appreciate the love, the support, and the fact that we are one soul tribe coming together globally. So beautiful. And sending you all much love. And I'll speak to you very soon.